Hey everybody, it's Glenda here from Cynically Glenda. Over the last couple of days I've had an opportunity to reflect on what's happened. And when you're caught up in the moment, I suppose in a way it's sort of a matter of survival. How do I get out of this? And often you can't see what's really going on because there is bullying, there is negative attention being directed at you. And yes, this is another video starting off with cyber attacks and cyberbullying. But I want to use this opportunity to segue into a different subject. Once I realized that it was more to do with the internal politics between these two Reddit groups and how these people were all vying for that top position and how everything was twisted to suit their own narrative, I realised that I was an innocent victim. I just happened to have gotten in the way at the time. And I think part of it is, trust me, I'm not perfect, never will be. And I don't assume anything about anybody or how the correct way is to behave. But I like to use a little common courtesy and respect when I'm dealing with other people, regardless of how they treat me. Having said that, if you are disrespectful and abusive towards me, I will stand up for myself. I will draw a line in the sand and say, no, this is not going on anymore. And now being able to sit back and watch these little Shadowverse narc and anti-narc groups, which is, it's a hard thing to say, and how they are literally attacking each other. And you have members going into each of the groups trying to cause arguments and chaos and issues. And then you have the one person who called me or told me I had a holier than thou attitude, is the very one that is trying to present that kind of attitude. And the whole virtue signalling and all the things that I was accused of. When I conduct myself in any of these groups, I try to be respectful of someone else, of the other person I'm conversing with or anyone who happens to comment. If I don't agree with what they say, then of course I'll either scroll on by or I will try to present a different perspective without being rude or disrespectful. And I think that is largely the issue that we are facing today. There is a guy, oh God, I'm doing well today, I apologise. Once upon a time, we had a system of common courtesy and respectful interactions with one another. We were able to communicate and debate subjects without getting verbally abusive or physical. But I've noticed with a large majority of the population of this planet, a lot of people have become reactive. They don't consider what they're doing or what they're saying or the consequences of their words or their actions. And that's what's happening today. I don't think people have had to face enough consequences to understand that behaving in a certain way is not nice. Like abusing someone because they have a different colour skin to you, or lumping them all in the same box because it doesn't suit your narrative. It's just, I'm trying to collect my thoughts here, so I apologise. We were developing a well-balanced society. And when we were in high school and when we were in elementary school or primary school, whatever you want to call it, we had those back and forths where we didn't worry too much about people's feelings, because when you're a child, right up until the age of 25, believe it or not, our brains are not completely developed, and we don't have a full concept of consequences. That's just the way things are. But as adults and raising children and taking care of children and educating children, being parents, teachers, authority figures, etc., whether we realise it or not, it is our job to educate the children on how to treat each other, and don't always automatically react or get angry or judge. And I think that's what our major problem is. We have become a world that has become so decadent, so impulse reactive, so divided. And the worst part about it, and particularly in one country, the idea of expressing yourself regardless of the consequences is now considered free speech. But the funny thing is, in that very same society, we all worry about political correctness, which is contradiction in itself. You're allowed to say anything or do anything because it's free speech and it's your civil right. But you can't call me this, or you can't do this, or you can't say this because it's not politically correct. What? And I think that's where we've lost the plot. We really don't think about what we say and what we do and all these different societal rules we come up with. You know, there's a difference between sarcasm and humour and then judgmentalness, being judgmental and being rude and nasty. And it's funny how the word snark is actually an American word. We call it gossip. We call it being judgmental. We call it being nasty. And the honest truth, it kind of reminds me about the mentality of high school kids. You know, those mean kids that everybody wants to be like because they're supposedly cool, and they always set the standard for how things go at school. But quite often, it's also a standard for bad behaviour. You know, I can be an arsehole to you because I'm richer or better looking, or my parents are rich, or I've got better, well, not so much better grades, but, you know, there's always some I'm better than you because. And nobody is better than anybody else, and that's the thing. And I honestly believe that we have, for want of quoting a different story, or coming up with a better reference, there's the story of Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible, where there was every kind of debauchery and excess going on. I don't want to go too much into the detail, but a God appeared to a family and asked them to leave because they were the only decent people in this village, settlement, town, whatever. And then God set about destroying the whole city because of how bad the place had gotten. Now, if you want to look at what's happening in the world nowadays, the same thing's happening. People are getting themselves into debt for their wants, and they don't care about the consequences. And we now have the elite rich class who think that they are better than everybody else, and they literally run everything, and they don't have any consequences. Our news at the moment is filled with stories about the elite, the rich, the mega powerful, abusing people. I won't go into it. And yet, the funny thing is they get away with it. And we have governments, admittedly some of those, the people in the government are involved in this debauchery and this way of life. And they condone it and they allow it to happen. And then you have others who shut up just to keep the peace. And by doing that, they condone this behaviour. And then it becomes the norm. It's not right to abuse a child. It's not right to domestically violate a woman or a man. It's not right to use people for your own benefit. It's not right that people continually break the law and they get away with it, all because they have money or they have power. And I think that's what we need to get back to. We need to make sure that there is a consequence, that there is an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, if you know what I mean. You see, the tribal mentalities are pretty close to what we need, although some of them have gotten way out of hand, where if you murder someone, you get murdered. If you go to another village or another tribal settlement and you steal someone's beautiful girl, then they'll come to your community and do the same to you. I think that's only fair. But I think we've lost our way, and maybe that's what I'm going to have to do for my own, personal growth. Look into ways that we can respect each other and how we can be respectful and responsible and use common courtesy when we're dealing with other people. It's like returning a phone call or a text. It's some things as simple as that. And no longer are we in a situation where if you didn't want to continue conversing with someone and you knew that you didn't have to deal with them at some point, we could just say, look, I don't think this is working, or I really don't want to see you anymore, and you walk away. You can explain why you're doing it. But generally, as a rule, we've lost that ability. We just ghost people. We're just rude to them. We just gossip behind their backs. It's like, quickly going back to these snark groups, it's like these people just find anything and everything to complain about when it comes to a particular genre on YouTube or a film or a celebrity or whatever. They just pick things, and if they can't find anything to pick on, they'll make it up. It's like they have to have something to complain and whinge about, or they're annoyed and frustrated. And I think having this screen in front of us where we can access pretty much anything and everything, and those movie stars that we used to see on the screen, or the television stars that we used to see on our TVs, on the TV series, or singers and dancers and bands that we used to look forward to their concerts, or we would read about them in the magazines or see them on telly being interviewed. We now have a bird's eye view into their life. Mind you, in a lot of cases, it's a curated life. It's not real. It's what they present to us, which is not necessary. It's like watching a movie. Everything's so perfect and so placed and choreographed and we think that this is what life is supposed to be, but it's not. Life is dirty and it's hard and it's mundane and it's boring, and you have to deal with responsibilities. And I think we would make life a hell of a lot easier for ourselves and for each other if we learned how to respect each other again, and if we learned how to treat each other the right way. And on that note, I am going to say goodbye and catch you in the next one. And that's what my next video will be about. How can we learn to respect and show each other common courtesy? Catch you later. Bye.